What does a social media marketer or a digital marketer actually do? Aloha, welcome back. I'm Aya, and I am one of the lead instructors here at socialmediamavenacademy.com. And today's topic is a highly requested, or just like a high FAQ, like frequently asked question. So I wanted to dive in because I think a lot of people out there are just like, it's one of those topics where you can see something from the outside looking in, like this window here, but when you're in something, the perspective is different. So I wanted to go over some of the basics of what a social media manager, social media marketer, digital marketer actually does. Those are a couple things that they actually do. So the first being, well, it's not really in any particular order. You're going to do pretty much all these at different points of time, and there is a lot of points where things will like be intersectional and cross paths. But the biggest thing I will say is to really be keen to what's actually going on in the climate. And I say that I mean like the marketplace, so your particular industry. So whatever your company, whatever the company that you're going to be working with, or if you're working for yourself, if you're a freelancer, you are going to really going to master the skill of what's called social listening. It's kind of like a little term that gets that floats around here and there. It's just kind of like having your ear to the streets, basically. Like you just want to know what's going on. You want to be abreast. You want to, be in the know. You don't want to be in the dark. You want to have, how they say, have a pulse on. So it's similar to how people say you want to have like a pulse on something. Like you want to be there, like, you know, at the heart, I will say, of things. So you're actually looking for a pulse, looking for where's the life at, right? So it's going to be a big part of it because you want to know, like, what are people talking about in your space? What are people doing? What do they care about? How has their perspectives changed on something? Has there been any innovative breakthroughs? Has there been things that, um, I don't know, I guess was once like a known accepted thing that has been completely like debunked, and it's like, yeah, no, that was last year. We're not doing that anymore, type of stuff. So that's going to be the first part, social listening. Second, it's going to be research. And this is different than social listening because research is actually how I like to process when I conduct research is actually looking at the things that are currently in place. Um, Not like a competitive analysis per se, although that's a part of it because you kind of want to just kind of be like again abreast and understanding, okay, how are the other individuals or companies that are in our similar space, how are they showing up and serving, and where are some potential pockets or gaps where we can kind of come in and fill. So that's one part of research. Second part of research really is where the bulk of it, where I like to live for the most part when I do research for like a new campaign or like some new thing we're going to be launching with some new initiative. Like when I go to do research, I want to know like what has actually been like a common thread into where things, when you're talking about where we currently are or where we've been, and then where we hope to be, and kind of like looking for a through line. And when I say that, like, because ultimately, like, you're solving a problem, right? So when you're researching, you're looking for the ways that the problem solving process, how it can be more efficient, or how something can be, you know, improved. Perhaps, like I said, it kind of ties into social listening too, in a regard, because it's like perhaps your clients or your consumer base, maybe they cared about something uh, like a particular feature was like really really important, and now it's not important anymore, or it's not as important, or you've noticed like a dip. You want to be able to look and research like what kind of went into that situation in terms of like the decision. You really want to dive deeper into the research component because you want to be able to understand like, well, what led into that decision making process, like why did that feature or that frustration point, if you will. Why was that so heavy? Why was it such an important thing that got people to take action, and now not so much? So those are some good research tips in terms of, what you'd be doing as a social media marketer, manager, digital marketer. Third is strategy. And I think this word, it gets thrown around a lot, but there's a couple synonyms that I just kind of wanted to put into it as well, because I think it helps just be able to formulate your mind like what that actually means, because it can be kind of confusing versus like a tactic. Your strategy is like your master plan, like your game plan, like your plan of action, like how are we going to get there? I had learned from a mentor of mine years ago. He had said something to the effect of like, profit is always the goal, but like, what's your strategy? So it's like, people say like, oh, why did you start a business? Like, well, because, you're in business to make money. Like, what's the gross? But what's the actual strategy to get to the level of profitability that we want to scale this company to? Or how many clients do we actually want to serve this quarter? Or what's going to be the price point? I'm sorry, that's part of the strategy. Or how many how many members do we want to enroll into our next launch? Those are going to be like high level, plans and goals. But then your master plan, your game plan, your plan of action, your course of action, your strategy is going to be that those subtle shifts and those changes of that ladder you're going to be climbing that's going to get you to that place. So you're going to be strategizing a lot in terms of how are we going to get to what our goal is and meet the goal and hopefully exceed them. Next, I would say would be content planning. Content is huge. I've heard like content is king, conversion is queen. There's all these little cute memes floating around, but content is really, and that's really like, again, I keep saying this is where my heart lives, but there's like three things where my heart lives. It's like filmmaking, writing, and content creation, which is why I founded a creative content agency, because I love content. Content is, it's life. It's like, it's the fuel that you place into your jet so you can take off, or to your rocket ship so you can take off, if you will. You have to have really good content in terms of how the content is serving who you're hoping to reach, who you're hoping to make a connection with, who you're hoping to build a relationship with. So content planning, content strategizing is going to be a big part of what you're going to be doing as a digital marketer, social media marketer, manager. And that could include actually creating the content calendar, so like what is actually going to be posted on all the social channels that you're present on a day-to-day basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis. Because it helps alleviate all the pressure and the stress. And then you also know how to forecast and plan ahead. So things like holidays that are coming up, important no dates. If you have events you want to be a part of, but you may want to be a vendor or sponsor. If you have potential collaborations or influencers you want to work with. If you're going to launch a Black Friday, Cyber Monday, like you're going to be planning that pretty much like in the summer. Because people are already like prime and ripe and already kind of getting like their Q3, Q4 planned out. I was actually, I went to church with my good friends on Easter Sunday this year, and they were already planning an out of town trip for Thanksgiving in April. So, so that's what I'm saying. Like people are planning like way ahead of time, and you yourself as the social media marketer, manager, digital marketer are going to be doing a lot of working with the content team and also helping with the content planning, because it's a big part of how you're going to be able to obviously, your company will be able to show up and really be relevant and continue to build those connections year round. And then it leads me into the final, which is showing up and serving. And I'm going to continue to say this at nauseum because I don't think it's being said enough. I think it's being way too overcomplicated. In the social media, digital marketing space, you are showing up and serving your clients. Your client's client. So the company you're working for, the agency you're working for, even if you're freelancing, you're a solopreneur, your audience members are the ones who should always be in your heart and the forefront of your mind, aside from day-to-day tasks, aside from things that have to be met in terms of looking at like I said, KPIs or CPC, PPC, all that stuff. But you have to really look at this from a holistic standpoint of like, what impact am I contributing to this overall plan that's helping make these other humans on the other side of this camera, like I'm talking to you right now, on the other side of this laptop, on the other side of this computer here, or the other side of this window, like say I'm talking to one of the neighbors across the way here. That's like a communication, like there's impact to be made there. So it's the same thing. I don't care if it's a social paid ad campaign, if it's an email marketing campaign, if it's an influencer campaign, if it's an event experience campaign. You are always ultimately going to only be pretty much focused on how are we making an impact and making their lives better with what we do. How are we making their lives better? It's not really about what we do. It's how is what we do or what we serve, product or services, how is that helping make them, their lives, our clients, our customers, how is it making their lives better? So that is all for today. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you'd like to learn more, I'd encourage you to watch the next video. That's other place up here on this side. And to learn about if a digital marketing degree is actually worth it, and my complete, brutal, transparent opinion. And I will see you next time.